Right, we're going to open a new project, so it's going to be in activity 3.3.1 files, and it's called stories. So this is just a very short little 3.5 second kind of, kind of like a Netflix type thing where at the end of every little video you want to show it, or at the beginning of the video. So let me just play it to show you what it is. Yeah, that's it. So there's a little animation and there's an audio file in here. So this is for use in various situations. It might be used at the beginning or end of videos or documentaries. It might be used on Instagram. It might be used on YouTube. So a variety of different settings. So when you have a comp that's ready to go and ready to render, there are two approaches you can take. One is to render it within After Effects. That has certain advantages and disadvantages. So to do that, you make sure that the composition area is active, or you can choose the composition itself from the project panel, and then you're going to go composition, add to render queue. Okay, and then let me just get rid of the first one. So here we've got it here, and you can choose from a number of settings here. So if you click on the arrow, you get certain standard settings. If you click on the actual blue text, you get all the settings. Okay, so things like quality, resolution, a whole lot of things you can set up here. And if I go to the output module, you'll see that I have quite a few different options to choose from here. If I click on the blue lossless word, I can now go and choose from the format. Now, one of the things that's missing here is MP4, which is actually called H.264. So that's a problem, because MP4 is the optimal format at the moment to use for online sharing. So that's one of the kind of bummers of using the in-house rendering inside After Effects. But one of the things that is useful is if you wanted to, for example, render out this as a movie to recycle within After Effects in other compositions, you could just render out from here, and then you could say post render action, import and replace usage, or import or set proxy. And then what it will do is it will render it as a QuickTime movie or one of these other formats, and it will import it into After Effects for use. But truly, I don't use this option too often. So composition, add to render queue. I don't use it too often because it is limited. So the way that I think you should get used to doing, unless you have a specific reason for using the in-house rendering option, is to use something called Adobe Media Encoder. So Adobe Media Encoder comes with the Creative Cloud. So if I have a look at my Creative Cloud app, you'll see that here somewhere will be Media Encoder. So that you need to make sure that you've downloaded and installed that for Creative Cloud. It normally automatically installs when you install After Effects or Premiere Pro. So we're going to go through a slightly different process here. So I'm going to make sure that the composition is selected. I'm going to go to Composition, Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue. Now it does take a few minutes to open depending on the speed of your machine and what else is going on your machine. Okay, so it's opened up in Media Encoder, and here it is. The composition is called Stories Logo, and here are the settings. So let's just say that I want one version for Instagram, one version for YouTube, and one version to use as a title for a documentary. So those are three different scenarios. So I'm going to select the name of the comp, and I'm going to click on this button here which says Add Output, and I'm going to add 2. So I can change the settings. So the first one is going to be for the movie. So there I'm going to use an image sequence because I'm going to get the absolute best quality for that. So I'm going to click where it says H.264. I'm going to click, and I'm going to go down, and I'm going to choose PNG, and it says PNG sequence with alpha match source. So whatever my source is, whatever size and frame rate it is, it's going to match that. Well, frame rate doesn't matter for image sequence. Then here I need to say where do I want it to go. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to just put it on my desktop. I'll just make a folder called renders. Okay, and I'll make a subfolder in there called sequence. And then save. So that goes there. Then the next one is going to be for YouTube. So for YouTube, I'm going to choose H.264 because that's MP4, the most optimal format for YouTube. And then here, I'm going to change the setting to YouTube 1080p Full HD. I'll click on the destination and I'll go to that same folder that I created, renders, and I'll just call this one YouTube. Okay, then the final one is going to be for Instagram, so I'm going to make sure it's H.264, which is MP4, and then you'll see there's no Instagram option here, so I'm going to actually start with my YouTube 1080p, but then I'm going to edit it by clicking on the blue text here. Okay, so what I want is I want it to be square, because remember Instagram is optimized for square media. So I'm going to I'm going to unlink the width and the height, so that's linked, that's unlinked, and I'm going to change the width to 1000 and the height to 1000. Okay, so once I've done that, I need to go up here to output source scaling, and I need to say scale to fill, not stretch to fill. Okay, stretch to fill is going to do this, which is not what I want. So scale to fill. So that's still pretty nice for Instagram. I'm going to say OK, set my destination to the same place, and I'll call this one Instagram, and save. So once I've got those three done, I'm going to press the start queue, and it's going to process all three of them together. Okay, and if I go and have a look now on my desktop, here's my renders. I've got a sequence that contains individual PNGs for each frame of the animation, a total of 106. Okay, and if I look at the size of that, that is 7.4 megabytes. I then have my YouTube video. Okay, and I have my Instagram video. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.